right now on 5 on your side at 10.
Tonight, the Weather First team is tracking 2 winter weather systems. One arrives tomorrow, the stronger second storm early next week.
It's a tax on the earnings of St. Louis City residents and workers. Now there's a push from Jefferson City to phase it out. Tonight, the pushback from local leaders. Our top story, a rash of violence in North St. Louis County. Now a community effort to take back the streets.
We got to get a handle on this from the beginning.
Tonight, investigators in North County are working to solve 3 homicides in less than 3 days. Good evening, everyone. I'm Kelly Jackson.
And I'm Mike Bush. The surge in violence finds neighbors calling for change and collaboration. Our Brent Solomon, who spoke with one community, now is calling on county leaders to step in.
Mike Kelly, I just got off the phone with Ferguson's police chief. North County leaders aren't just battling homicides, they're also working to close other violent crimes. It's supposed to be a place of peace and recreation, not crime.
Caused concern with the neighbors.
He's talking about an incident here at Jeske Park near Florissant Avenue. Thursday, police confirming a woman in her 70s was walking when 3 masked teens pointed a gun, demanding her house and car keys.
Dealing with what we see as an escalating crime problem.
Now, the Jeske Neighborhood Association is calling on Councilwoman Rita Day's presence at their meeting next week.
See how best residents in our neighborhood could interface with the county and utilize county resources.
It comes as North County investigators are battling a series of recent crimes. Someone shot in the head Christmas night in Ferguson. 3 men shot, 1 killed outside a Florissant shopping center on Christmas Eve. And in the new year, 2 homicides in Moline Acres, another in Dalewood.
I'm very concerned about this. These are neighborhoods where we have lots of children.
The councilwoman points to crime-fighting tools across the county. She says when crime is up, leaders need to look at keeping or expanding them, not reducing or eliminating them.
The administration cut the shot spotter program, and but the council restored that because according to the police officers, it has been very instrumental in helping us to catch some of the criminals out there.
Now she's asking neighbors and police in multiple localities to unite instead of keeping silent.
And there are some hot spots in each of the areas. You know, what works with one area may work with the other, but we won't know if we don't sit down and have those kinds of conversations with each police department.
Now, the Jeske Park neighborhood meeting will happen a week from today. That's at the First Baptist Church on North Florissant at 7 p.m.
Well, a cold January night across St. Louis. About 24 hours from now, we could be dealing with a light mix of rain and snow.
Weather First meteorologist Jim Castillo's in for Scott tonight, and he is tracking that and a bigger shot at wintry weather early next week.
Yes, so 2 systems we're watching, and then it gets even colder than that at the end of the 10-day forecast. So a lot to talk about. That first system, though, so tonight's temperature at 32, we're going to drop into the 20s, so it will be below freezing tomorrow morning. Now in the afternoon, we're closer to 40. But check out the winter weather advisories in purple. That does not include Missouri or Illinois, and we're not expecting that. So most of that really wintry precip is still expected to our west with this first system. So a light wintry mix of rain and snow, no major impacts with the first system, maybe in grassy areas, a trace to a ½ an inch of snow. And then that stronger system on Tuesday, where is that located right now? Well, it's out in the Pacific Ocean. So once it makes landfall over Canada and also the United States, the weather computer models will take that information and give us a better idea of the exact track of this system. And it is going to be a potent storm system, a lot of wind with it, some rain, and likely a mix over to snow. We'll talk a little bit more about that in Maine weather coming up in just a bit.
All right, see you then, Jim. And remember, you can get the latest Weather First forecast anytime. Just text the word weather to 314-425-5355, and we will send it to your phone.
If you work or live in St. Louis City, you pay a 1% earnings tax. Now a committee of Missouri lawmakers is recommending ways to slowly do away with the tax in both St. Louis and Kansas City.
But not everyone is on board. Laura Barcheski talked with several members of the committee tonight. Laura.
Mike and Kelly, the committee leader tells me the majority found that the earnings tax was detrimental to the city's growth. The representatives who didn't sign that report say that's not true. In both Kansas City and St. Louis, a 1% earnings tax is deducted from workers' paychecks. For St. Louis, that brings in nearly $220 million every year and is a major funding source.
It's been working for decades. It works in many, many successful cities.
But that was not the opinion of the majority of the Earnings Tax Committee, which recommended both cities start to phase out the tax.
It's caused the city to lose population. It's caused the city to lose businesses and growth. So we were looking for alternative ways of bringing income into the city so that wouldn't be necessary.
When it comes to a lack of business growth, Representative Steve Butts says it's not due to the tax.
Their biggest issue, I think, is crime, and their employees don't feel safe downtown and other areas.
Butts says one thing most of the committee agreed on is getting rid of the earnings tax for low-income workers and those below the poverty line.
It would give people maybe that need the tax break the most, who can least afford to pay the tax. It might lessen the burden on them.
Committee Chair Representative Jim Murphy says one of the solutions proposed would hopefully attract more businesses to St. Louis.
We talked about bringing in enterprise zones where we'd attract new businesses into the city and exempt them from the earnings tax.
Representative Tony Lavasco says additional consumption taxes could also be the answer.
I think if you want to get people to go move to the city, do business there, having a sales tax or something similar is a lot better way of going than taking a piece of people's income.
But says increasing sales and property taxes would drive more people away.
So without an alternative, I don't see what else we could do. It would bankrupt the city.
In a statement, a St. Louis City spokesperson says, quote, any legislative proposals to scale back or eliminate the local earnings tax without proposals to replace this revenue are proposals to gut fire and police services, street maintenance and upgrades, parks, the courts, the circuit attorney's office, and much more. The next step is for lawmakers to use these recommendations to craft legislation this session. Reporting live downtown, Laura Barczewski, 5 on your side.
Tonight, St. Louis City health officials are recommending people mask up in crowded indoor spaces. This is only a recommendation. It's not a mandate, and it comes during a recent surge of respiratory viruses. Health officials say the goal is to avoid a strain on the local healthcare system. Recent data does show COVID hospitalizations are up 38% over the past month. BJC reports RSV cases are nearly 200% higher than the past 4 years, and flu infections are 55% higher. Doctors are stressing vaccines and staying home if you're feeling sick.
Our Verify team continues to look into claims about respiratory viruses. COVID and flu have similar symptoms but different treatments. This viral treat about test in Spain that can distinguish between the two viruses. The poster asks, why isn't that available everywhere? So tonight, Abby Larico verifies if there is a rapid test we can take that identifies between COVID and the flu.
Our sources are the FDA, Pfizer, LabCorp, and Amazon. The FDA gave emergency use authorization for the Lucira rapid test last February. The test is a nasal swab that tells you in 30 minutes whether you have COVID or influenza A or B. Lucira went bankrupt last spring and was acquired by Pfizer. Pfizer sells the tests on Amazon, and they're $40 a piece. A Pfizer spokesperson said it hopes to sell the tests in major pharmacies soon as well. So we can verify, yes, there is a rapid test that can detect both COVID and the flu, and you can get it in the U.S., but it'll cost you. LabCorp also got FDA emergency use authorization for an at-home test that can identify COVID, the flu, and RSV. You can order it for $129, but it's a PCR test, so you have to mail it to the lab and get your results a day or two later. With your Verify, I'm Abby Larico.
And while our Verify team was researching the story, the test was in stock at times and out of stock. A Pfizer spokesperson told us they hope to have a new supply for sale on Amazon later this week. And if you see a claim you want our Verify team to look into, just send us an email to verify@ksdk.com.
A touching turnaround for a couple who recently lived at a former homeless encampment outside St. Louis City Hall. New tonight, our Robert Townsend revisited with the McCoys, who now have their own place to call home.
In September, tears of pain and shame filled 28-year-old Gino McCoy's eyes.
I can't count the many times I done cried to my wife.
He, his 26-year-old wife, Hada, and their 3 dogs moved to St. Louis from Arizona. The couple ran into many unexpected challenges and were suddenly homeless.
And that was my first time ever going through that. And for me, not having family, I didn't have anybody to call on.
4 months later,
amazing. It's a God-given blessing.
Tears of joy as he unlocks the door to their new home in North St. Louis.
It's a blessing to be able to take a proper shower, use the commode properly, home-cooked meals.
I'm pretty excited. I'm amazed. I get to wake up in my own house.
McCoy admits he had many sleepless nights and even thought about giving up during their stay at this former homeless encampment, but he was determined to get his family out of here. They found their new home on their own.
We drove around looking and back and forth on the bus.
Gino landed a construction job.
Come here, boy.
The couple also relaunched their dog kennel business, saved their money, and moved into their new home nearly a month ago. St. Patrick's Center helped them with cookware, blankets, and other necessities.
We're so happy to be able to support them in the ways we're able to, but this is a great day for them.
Now this courageous couple holds on to each other, stronger than ever in their new home.
This is just the beginning for us.
Robert Townsend, 5 on your side.
In March, McCoy says he and his wife will celebrate again. That's when he will graduate from college with a bachelor's degree in business administration.
Another ballot battle tonight for former President Donald Trump, the push from a group of voters in the land of Lincoln. Some call it a miracle drug for weight loss, but it's hard to get.
I think a lot of people think of obesity as an issue of willpower. It's not.
Now, a new website is offering easier access, but at what price?
Our first and weaker of the 2 winter weather systems arrives tomorrow. The second, Monday and Tuesday, much stronger. I'm tracking rain, wind, and snow.